Hi y'all, I'm Melissa and welcome to My Word Melly. So in today's video, I'm going to do a book review on the duology, The Labours of Jen by Rachel Menard, which has, as the name says it's a duology and has two books as The Game of Strength and Storm as well as A Clash of Fate and Fury. So the Labours of Jen duology follows this gender-bent retelling of Hercules with a plot that is drawing on twists of Greek mythology that, guys, I love books with Greek mythology and I just absolutely loved how unique this plot was, and it's like another Greek mythology retelling that I have read because it had its own spin on it. I just was intrigued by the synopsis, by the blurb of these books, and that's how I got into reading it as well. So this has like a Greek mythology inspired plotline with every character being a descendant of a mythical god and has different magical abilities, and I loved it. I like mythical plots, and what more do I like? I like plots with magic, and this had like so much of elemental magic that I absolutely adored, and like these are stuff that got me just hooked into wanting to read this duology. So there is a ton of magic, badass heroines, like strong characters, strong female presence, as well as animal companions, like life-threatening, nerve-wracking and impossible tasks and adventures, found family and a smidge of romance, and guys, heartbreak. So buckle up for this review. So starting off with the first installment of this duology, and that is A Game of Strength and Storm. This was released last year and I received the book as an ARC through NetGalley. I saw it on NetGalley. Like I said, I liked the synopsis or the blurb and I requested for it, and I think just for some luck, the publisher approved my request and sent the book, and I was just so stoked that I started reading it right away. What follows this story is this particular land, which I just forgot the name of the land. Anywho, this land is ruled by some empresses, and not just any empress. I love this character because they are like these dual-headed empresses. So annually these empresses like choose 10 people from across the kingdom through this particular lottery, and whoever wins this competition kind of thing would be granted one wish. But the what do you say, the hook here or the fine print here is the competition changes year after year, and it will be challenges of the empresses choosing, and these empresses are not people who you want to trust. They are so conniving, cunning and as well as manipulative, and these challenges or tasks that the empresses come up with are no walk in the park. They actually don't have any interest in granting these wishes, but this is how they lure people in to get things that they want done, and they don't grant anything if there is no benefit for the empresses. So this book follows three main characters basically, but more of three prominent characters but two main female characters. So the protagonist is Jen. She has descended from the Greek gods who has mind controlling powers. She gets selected obviously to do this challenge, and her one true wish is to rescue her father, who has been sent to prison or who has been imprisoned because they accuse him of murder, and she wants to win this challenge so that she could free her father. The antagonist female main character in this is Castor. She is such a show-off, a self-obsessed, selfish, vindictive character. Like, she doesn't care how she gets what she wants, but she will do whatever it takes, including even harming her twin brother. How Castor comes into this story is She thinks that she should rule her land, and she thinks if she wins this challenge, the empress will grant her that, and that after her father hands down or steps down from his ruling, she would be the next heir apparent. But based on their culture and their rules, the heir apparent becomes the next male in the family, like all kingdom and all, I don't know, ruling plot lines. But she thinks she has more control over business, about like politics and all that, whereas her brother just can't be bothered. He is more creative, he is more a free spirit, and he doesn't want to be this. So she thinks it's her birthright, and her brother is the next prominent character, and that is Pollux, or Lux in this case, as referred through across the book. In this round of year, the Empress's challenge contains 10 very life-threatening and like you could die, like obviously you could die, 10 tasks. And this is where the tasks of Hercules and all the retelling comes into play of this story, and Jen and Castor tries their best to win or complete as many challenges as they can, because the person who completes the most number of challenges is the one who wins. So this book follows all the twists and turns of all these challenges and how they try to complete these 10, and I absolutely loved every scene. Like, it was so amazing. Like, the challenges were so scary, adventurous at the same time. Like, impossible is a word that I could use here. Like, honest to God, like the way they have to do things to win the challenge was just spectacular. Fast forward to the ending, we'll just say, because I can't tell you all more about the 10 challenges. That is something you all have to read and experience. In all honesty, like, I would not spoil this book for y'all. In the end, no matter what happens, Castor wins unjustly, or like, I don't know, it was very unjust of how this ended up. Castor wins and she gets her wish, but hold your horses there. Jen loses, and therefore she has no way to save her father, and these cunning and manipulative empresses are like, fine, we'll free your father from prison, but you have another task to complete, and that's how you're going to get your father. And that's where book 2, A Clash of Fate and Fury, comes in. So, A Clash of Fate and Fury will be released on the 21st of March this year, and I received this ARC from the author herself. Thank you, Rachel Manard. Thank you for the publisher as well. Once I read book 1, I knew I had to get my hands on book 2 somehow, and I'm so stoked that I was selected as one of the ARC readers. Book 1 actually flowed in a dual POV between Castor and Genevieve or Jen, but this book flows through in a multiple, or like a 3 POV book, where it has perspectives of Jen, Castor as well as Lux. So I just was excited. Y'all know, the more POVs, I love the book. So yes, I just loved seeing everyone's perspective on events that were unfolding. Like I said, the empresses do get Jen's father out of prison, but unless the empress's next task was completed, she cannot take her father away. So they only released him from prison to keep him in the palace until Jen completes the next task. So to keep the empresses happy and to save her father, she was tasked on going to collect the legendary golden apples of Hesperides. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's like a Greek goddess or 3 Greek goddesses, whatever you call it. Apparently, according to this book, they are the daughters of Apollo, I guess. Nope, it was Atlas. Not Apollo, it was Atlas. So sorry. Jen was tasked with this very life-threatening adventure or task where she had to go and get the golden apples of Hesperides, as well as she had to bring back the monstrous Cerberus, which is like this three-headed massive dog. I was like trying to visualize it based on Fluffy in Harry Potter. Anyway, I was trying to just visualize that dog, but 10 times massive and like breathing fire kind of thing, because that's what a Cerberus is. Both of these, which she has to bring back for the Empresses, are in the land of Elysium, or in the Empire of Elysium, which are sworn enemies of this particular kingdom, Olympia. Now I remember they are sworn enemies of Olympia, like where an Olympian cannot even cross the borders of sea and enter Elysium. But now Jen is tasked with wading waters, entering forbidden territory to get these two treasures that empire holds very, I don't know, like honored, and like treasures of that empire is the correct word. So you all must be thinking, how is Cast and Pollux involved? At the end of book 1, Jen kind of builds up a small romance with Lux, and therefore Lux is like all I'll go anywhere with you kind of thing, but the romance is so smidgy, like a pinch of salt kind of thing, right? And Castor got her wish, but it did not go as expected. Her father was like so against it. He was ready to do anything to get her kicked off of being the heir and still to hand it over to Lux. Like I said, the Empresses are not going to do anything that is not a benefit for them. They start undercutting Castor in her so this Castor and Lux are storm makers. Like Jen is a mind reader, Castor and Lux are storm makers, where they can bottle storms and different rain, winds and all that, and they sell it to others for a competitive advantage. Of course, what the Empresses do is they try to undercut Castor in this and steal that storm business for themselves, where Castor's land would fail, go into bankruptcy, and even if she is the ruler of that land, there is not going to be any purpose to it. And in order for Castor to save her land, save her business, she thinks the golden apples which Jen has to get would also help her, and therefore she invites herself on this adventure. Like both these books have a LGBTQ representation. Book 2, it was more prominent than book 1, which I absolutely loved, and then this book follows through the adventure and the journey they take to get these prized possessions, and with so many twists and turns, with so many secrets, that it just wows you, because every twist that happens is just on point. So those were just brief introductions to the two books. And now let's see my thoughts and my reviews. Like you all already know that I was absolutely mesmerized by the story. I love the author's style of writing, the world building, as well as the settings and the characters of this book. Like I said, they had a strong female cast. I am not letting down on the male characters because they had an important prominence as well in the books. All the characters were unique, were different from each other. They stand on their own, have their own stories and personalities, which gave so much of depth to the story, so much of angles to look at into this plot line in both books. I'm like talking here in general. All I could think of mostly in book 2 is like, this is such an unusual set to be put together. Like, God, they could just kill each other. They were that different. I loved how the characters grew from book 1 to 2, like throughout the adventures in both books, like how the author has written the growth of these characters, how they evolved, and like how they became one as a part of the group. Like they were so different, like to a point where it was worse than having Malfoy and Harry, or rather Hermione and Malfoy in one room, it was just so worse than that. They could just literally kill each other. And Caster, no matter how selfish she was, how much she drove me insane in book one. When it came to book two, the more I got to know her, I still don't like her. She's like this perfect villain in the story, okay? But for some reason, some parts of her thought process, some parts of why she did what she did made sense to me that I hate her, but I can't hate her kind of thing. I am just torn, guys. I'm telling y'all, I'm just torn beyond, because I'm like so lost with Cast. I can't hate her also, but I can't not hate her. Okay, so in book two, there was this spin where they introduced some things called oracles, or some beings called oracles, who are like these Greek gods who everyone descended from, but especially, so like in Olympia, all these people descended from these particular Greek mythical people, beings. In Elysium, it's by the oracles. So everyone is a descendant of one of the four oracles or five oracles kind of thing. And that just took me back to the Caraval set where the fates were introduced. The oracles were also vague and like untrustworthy, never to the point, kind of like the fates. You can't believe anything they say. I just love the author's style of writing. It was just easy to understand, easy to flow, and like it was just fueling my imagination. It was making it so easy to visualize every adventure, every place they went to, every fight, every journey, like everything they did. You were like living in your head. Like, rather, I was like living in my head when I was reading it. So it was that beautiful, the writing. And I love the twist with the oracles of how Lux's life is being predicted, as well as how the oracles have this one particular twist in the story that links book 2 to book 1 and gives you that moment, like, oh my god, this is what happened kind of moment. Made so much of sense, and I loved it also because of all this elemental magic and like, how do you say, controlling wind, storms, earth kind of thing. It gave me so much of this Avatar the Last Airbender kind of vibes. And also the mind workers can communicate and talk with animals. I absolutely love that. Growing up, I used to love the wild thornberries because Eliza can talk with animals, and I just was getting that vibe, just rather than with a monkey. This Jen's animal companion was a whale. And y'all, I think y'all know where I'm going with this. It gave me Moby Dick vibes as well, because Jen and her gang, or like gang of frenemies, as I have to say, travel by whale, and I absolutely loved it. It gave me so much of Moby Dick vibes where they traveled by whale. I just absolutely loved the world building. I loved how every past tale of each empire was beautifully spun, that I just loved everything. Like, this author is so talented, guys. Like, for me to enjoy more than the action and the adventures, like even to enjoy the world that she created through the labors of Jen Duology. I'm not even exaggerating. I think I am like underrepresenting the value or the beauty of her writing and the world building. So let's talk about more about the beautiful writing. Like in book 1, I just didn't even realize until the book finished that there would be another book. I was so captivated. I just kept on reading and reading, and I think I should have learnt a lesson with book 1, but again with book 2, I thought there will be more and more books, because it was just beautiful. Like, I could have thought of so many storylines of how the events would unfold across this book, leading into another book. Like, it was that immersive as well as captivating. Like, sadly, but this series or this duology has only 2 books, and what more books? So in book 1, I thought the ending was a little bit too fast. Like, people used to hate Jen and the mine workers, and all of a sudden they were starting to praise her, but then the empresses went and told she lost rather than winning. So I thought it was just too fast, and therefore that's why book 1 I gave it a 4 star. But with book 2, I did not think it was over. Like, I wanted to know more. There was nothing wrong with book 2. Like, I gave it a 5 star. Like, it was so spectacularly written and everything was so great. Better than book 1 also, I have to say. But I felt so incomplete. I had to go bug Rachel Menard on Instagram and be like, come on, please tell me there is another book. And she's like, sorry, hon, it's a duology. And like, I'm like, no, I wanted another book. Like, I not another book. Like, I don't know. I just want to know, like, when Jen and the gang steal these prizes from Elysium and go back to Olympia, obviously that's going to create a war, and the empresses wanted a war. And I'm like, so what happens with the war? What happens? How does Elysium wage war against Olympia? Like, how would Jen, cast of Lux, and the rest of the crew get involved in this war? Like, how does this unfold? Will Jen find a way to actually save her father? Like, I had so many things that I wanted to know. And then to find out that there is no book after this, I was like, further to all those, both of these books were fast paced from the very first page itself. Like, I think that's the perfect hook. You get hooked in from the beginning itself, and I was just flying through the books. Both of these books, or this duology, will be something that you will be reading up all night. Like, book 2 I finished within one sitting itself. I just couldn't put it down. Even book 1 I read it within 24 hours. Like, I am saying, like, this is so fast paced, and you will just not even realize you are just flying through the book. And the plot twists in both books, like I said, are to the point. It's very timely, and you won't even see it coming because there is almost no foreshadowing. Like, sometimes you will have that reader's gut feeling, like that you know something iffy is going to happen or something sketchy is happening, and you try to imagine scenarios how this could turn. Trust your gut, guys, but like, you won't even imagine what kind of a twist it would be. You will be this close but still not there. My most favorite part of book 2 was how the title of the book, A Clash of Fate and Fury, is referenced in the book, as well as they elaborate, or like they explain the significance of the title, and I absolutely loved it because it made so much of sense. I just am so in love with these books. I wish I could experience it for the first time over again. So those were my thoughts on this entire duology. Trust me, guys, don't walk, run, and at least your TBR, go pick up this duology. Like, book 2 is being released on the 21st. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, as well as share this video with friends and family. And if you want to see more of me, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also click on that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you will be notified every time I post more videos. And it's time for me to say bye from Oh My Word Melly.